So, Lynn, we won't quite start yet. How have you been spending your day today? How are you coping with what's going on at the moment? You've got a young family, haven't you, Lynn?
Yeah. So I've been, school teacher this morning, and then yoga teacher this afternoon.
Excellent. So you're homeschooling. How long have you been homeschooling now? Just over a week or so?
Week and a
Lost
half.
track of time, like the rest of us.
Yeah, really lost track of time. So yeah, a week and a half or something, I think it's been, hasn't it?
Something like that. Something like
Fully,
that. I
fully,
don't think anybody knows what day it is, do they?
not a clue. No.
Okay, fine. Right. Okay. Let me just 1 minute, Lynn, and then we'll get going. Okay. Get going. Okay, great stuff. Right, Lynn. Okay, so Lynn, you're a neurophysiotherapist and a yoga instructor. Tell us a bit about yourself, Lynn. Tell us a bit about your background and how you've ended up in rural Herefordshire, first of all, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a neurophysio, and for anyone that doesn't know what that entails, it's anything that involves or conditions that involve the brain or spinal cord. So things like Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, stroke, head injuries, things like that. So that's my physio background. Been doing that for about 20 odd years now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I was living in Bristol until about 18 months ago, and wanted to have more green space and see the mountains and the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we moved out. We're halfway between Hereford and Abergavenny.
Okay. So where did you did you do your training in Bristol, or were you just working in Bristol, Lynn?
Yeah, just working in Bristol. I trained in Manchester,
Okay.
worked in various places, and then I was in Bristol for about 14 years.
Great.
And for the last 6 or 7 or so, was working privately for just for myself, and that was NHS work.
Right. So how did the obviously that was the physiotherapy side of things. How did the yoga side of things come to fruition? How did you kind of get interested in the yoga side of things, and what was it? Was that out of from a you could see the link between the two, or was it a passion, or was it a business? What kind of drove you to taking up? Was it something you already did?
Yeah, I started doing yoga just for myself and just doing it for fitness and for strength and mobility, and a little bit interested in the kind of more spiritual or the philosophy side of yoga. And then so I was just going to a class like lots of people do, going to a class once a week. And then in my work, I was working in neurology outpatients. So in my work, I started realizing that a lot of the things I was doing in yoga would work really well for the patients I was seeing. So I started introducing a little bit.
Yeah. So and who did you study with? Who did you study your yoga with then?
So I studied with a teacher in Bristol called Christopher Gladwell.
Okay.
Not particularly famous, but a pretty amazing teacher. Yeah. And my course, I did a really long course. I did a 2 year, what they call an immersion course. So it's quite a long routine. It was more very cheesy, but it was more about the actual journey of the course rather than just coming out with the qualification at the end. So it was 10 and long retreats as well. So.
Yeah. Fine. So where did the do you nowadays do you keep the two practices separate? So guys, just so you know, Lynn's been a member with us. I'm guessing now, solely guessing, 8, 9 months, something of that nature, a bit longer.
I think it's over a year.
Okay, don't embarrass me. I was just about to say, don't embarrass me. But there we go. I lose track of time, lose track of how long our great members have been with us, obviously. And me and Lynn chat quite a bit. I think we share quite a bit of kind of well, we're both very passionate about what we do. I think is the best thing to say there. And we've been like nudging and finding kind of ways for Lynn to be integrated into the business. So the plan is for Lynn to start doing some physiotherapy work, in our business in the next few months when things settle down. So with your practice now, do you keep them completely separate? Do you integrate the two fields of your work? Because if you're like me, you probably find that there's no kind of clarity between different kind of disciplines. It's if you're working with the body and the mind, it's all kind of like how can I say, you bring different tools to your toolkit and you use one with the other and vice versa. Is that how you find it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I can't separate. You can't separate out the two. But I definitely see people who are. Oh, I thought I turned my phone off. I definitely see people who are definitely from a physio background, and so although I might be more of a holistic practitioner when it comes to physio, it's definitely neurophysio that I'm doing.
Right.
And then the yoga really always is influenced by the physio work that I do. So a lot of the yoga I teach is for people either with a health condition or post-injury, post-rehab, or in rehab. So yeah, bringing the physio side into yoga.
Yeah. I just love it. I love the fact that people have got more than one string to their bow. I just think it kind of like it opens it up to a whole different kind of clientele and more uses and more chance of success because of the holistic kind of nature of it. And with regards to my kind of like vision of our business being like not a one-stop shop, but a one-stop shop with regards to people can come and they can there's something there for everybody, so they're not necessarily forced to do one kind of therapy, etc. I just love it. It's great. Lynn, tell us about one thing we're going to talk to, and the main thing we're going to talk about today was breathing and the importance and the effect it can have on people. It's something I've been aware of more so over the last 6-7 years, I'd say, within coming more from the fitness industry, but through my work with the DNS, which I think we've talked to you about before, which I took a little session with on our Facebook live sessions last week. So to me, breathing is crucially important from a functional point of view, but also from a inflammatory point of view and on all kinds of levels. So tell us a bit about it from your standpoint, Lynn, and then we'll go into kind of a bit more, maybe a practical as well, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. So what I see is breath is starting to be more taken notice of and researched in the same way that maybe mindfulness was a few years ago. Yep. There was this big boom in mindfulness, and now there seems to be a lot of investigation and work with breath, and it's just a really physical way into affecting our autonomic nervous system. So most of the autonomic nervous system, we can't really affect that easily, or change all those bodily systems that just happen without us being aware of. And yet the breath we can. So of course we breathe all the time, and we don't need to pay attention.
Absolutely.
But when we do pay attention to it, and a lot of the breath practices are generally about switching or getting more activation for the parasympathetic nervous system, so the rest and digest side of our nervous system. So they do things like decrease our respiratory rate, decrease blood pressure, really helpful for stress and anxiety, helpful for sleep, and really good for concentration. And it's just that, right? I did work it out, so we do about 10 to 15 breaths per minute. So that's about 20,000 breaths per day.
Yeah.
So it's just a tool that's right there. You don't need anything else.
No, I agree. And one thing I love about it is you touched on a couple of terms there, for example, like the autonomic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Just if you don't mind, I hope not putting you on the spot, you summed it up really well there, and the things you just do every day in, day out. But just explain to the guys the autonomic nervous system, Lynn, just because I think we all kind of we all have our kind of little, when we get stressed, we have these little things, whether it's our digestive system changes function and these things, we get headaches and all these things we're aware of, but we don't really understand, and driving that underneath is a lot of the time the autonomic nervous system, isn't it? So just explain that to us, Lynn, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so autonomic nervous system is all the things and the systems that go on in the body that we don't have to be aware of. It just happens all the time. So as you said, with digestion, you know, our cardiac system and heart, respiration, all these things that happen just automatically, really. And in the autonomic nervous system, you've got two aspects to it. So you've got the sympathetic, which is that fight or flight. And then you've got the parasympathetic, which is, it gets called the rest and digest, just because we love things that rhyme, don't we? Yeah. And so those systems work between the two, but in our lifestyles that we lead and, you know, situations that we're in at the moment, then that fight or flight system, rather than it being a short, sharp activation, it stays activated, and that's where we get a lot of the issues around, you know, persistent pain and digestive issues and sleep and stress and all the other things that are really common.
Yeah, and those things are things which, as you said, they just should be short-lived, but they, with repetition, they become entrenched. And I think that's so much, and I always say with regards to, you know, we might have centuries ago had a couple of stressful situations a day, but nowadays, as soon as the alarm goes off or as soon as the email comes in and hits the mobile, we just get that response all the time. So a lot of us are kind of like pre-exposed to it. A lot of us have kind of maybe had a lot of stress in the past, which have, and we actually, and I think you'll hopefully back me up here, we're actually unaware of where we've got to from a stress point of view. So until you bring these things to people's attention with regards to the breathing, and we notice in our assessments all the time, there's nothing, because it's such a gradual thing sometimes, that people are just completely unaware of it.
Yeah, because we've got so used to it, and so often someone will say, well, I'm not stressed. We don't necessarily feel stressed, but that's because there's no difference in how we are, and that underlying system is and that's why the breath is so helpful in that way, because it can be a bit of a tool, really. So you can check in through the day, you know, how's my breathing, check in with your breath. And I mean, of course it changes, you know, if we're going to exercise, our breath, you know, our breath's going to change and during the day, but it's a way of being able to check in. It's a really physical way of checking in without having to tune into emotive states or, you know, stress, where we're maybe not that experienced in doing that.
Yeah, great. And I think it's it is drip feeding into like the fitness industry, the mainstream. I think, as you know, we do like breathing drills with us in our sessions and things like this. And I think we still get some, not strange looks, but we still, people trust us, so, and that's great. But I still think there's a kind of like a question mark hanging over it sometimes, with regards to like the benefits of it. Whereas from what I've seen over the last 5 years, it can help with back pain. It can help with so many kind of things, you know, straight away, whether it be migraines or whatever. And the danger is with any kind of training is you go in too quickly and you ignore what's there in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. It can affect, you know, how we breathe affects the whole of our system, and definitely into back pain and groin pain. It affects how our pelvic floor works. And so, yeah, especially when people are doing a lot of breathing up from the chest, which might be natural in an exercise state, but not in an ongoing rest state. So often it's just being aware of the breath is the first thing, and of just being able to check in with it. And
so we're hoping to go through a series of maybe a couple of weeks with you here, Lynn. How are you going to get it started? What's a kind of good starting point for like a 5 or 10 minute kind of like breathing kind of a breathing kind of practice? Because our old favorite saying, repetition is the mother of skill, isn't it? These things are only good if they're done with consistency. So what's a kind of really good doable kind of practice we can all kind of do in our own time, Lynn?
Well, we could do two practices now. So the first one would be to do what's a diaphragmatic breath, or belly breathing, as it's in yoga, it gets called belly breathing.
That's cool by me.
Yeah, so if you're going to do that, and for anyone doing it, then you need to be kind of not sat as I was, so sat up, or you can do it in lying. Yeah, you can.
I'll sit up.
I know, I saw that then. So you can take the support from a chair behind you is really useful. If I just adjust my camera there a little. So you're going to be using this big diaphragmatic muscle that's down at the bottom of the rib cage, which I know you know all about. And as that muscle, it's a really big, effective muscle of breathing. And as that activates to get the air in, it draws down, and that kind of pushes down into the abdominal contents. So if you're trying it, you're going to sit and you're going to be comfortable and probably just get the hands onto your abdomen.
Yep.
Close your eyes if you're happy with eyes closed. I'm going to keep mine open for now. And then you're just going to breathe. Just breathe really naturally and really easily. And depending on your habits with the breathing, it may or may not be felt down here. So some people, as I mentioned, they tend to breathe more up in their chest. I'm sure for you as well, you're breathing down here. And so as you inhale, you should feel that the abdomen comes out. You should feel it moving out into your hands. And you don't need to push. You don't need to push the abdomen out. You don't need to do any activity. It's just a natural consequence of using your diaphragm. Yeah.
Excellent. And how do we, from there then, now, for a lot of people, from my experience, that alone will be tough work, won't it? Because it's such an entrenched habit, breathing any other way. So, there are different variations to that. What's a kind of good way of kind of, if you can't get that, like we get people lying down on their front, like on their tummy and things like this, okay? What's a good kind of, what's a kind of next step? Is it really important with regards to, and one thing I haven't explored too much, apart from guys I've done a bit of kind of meditation with, what's really important? Is there like a good rate to breathe at and things like that, Lynn, or not really? Or should it just be getting the pattern ingrained first of all?
Yeah, so if someone's struggling with that and if there's not a lot of movement, and especially for people who've either spent a lot of time holding their abdomen in and doing a lot of work like that, or maybe back pain and things, and it's not going to come naturally necessarily. So I tend to get people lying on their backs or on the front, but lying down is going to make it much easier. And really not working with a breath rate, just working with ideally you're going for a slower breath.
Right. Okay.
And a longer breath.
Okay.
If someone's struggling just with the diaphragmatic breath, then I would just keep it at that. Make sure you're lying down. I mean, most of us do it when we're asleep, so it happens.
Right. Okay.
It gets in the way of what the body can do very naturally.
Right. So even though we're stuck up here most of the time, when we go to sleep, when we sleep and the mind switches off, do most of us revert back to a diaphragmatic breath normally, Lynn?
It's usually the breath that happens while we're asleep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So your body knows it. Everybody's body knows it. Even if when we're up and upright, we go back into this habit of breathing. So it can be useful for someone to put a hand on the chest, hand on the belly, and then just see which one's moving more.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What about advancing it? What's a good kind of drill for my guys or our guys to kind of go away with this week? What can we kind of put together? What's a kind of more advanced drill from a diaphragmatic point of view, Lynn? Can we do anything in a sitting kind of posture?
Yeah. So if the people are sitting up, again, you can still do it in lying if the diaphragmatic breath feels really easy and it works well. Someone could try with what's called a 4-7-8 breath.
Right.
So essentially, someone's breathing in for a count of 4.
Yeah, I'm going to write this down. Yeah.
So breathing in for 4, holding for a count of 7, and then breathing out for a count of 8. So 4, 7, 8.
Right, I'm going to give that a go. So in for 4.
So I'll count for everyone in a sec.
Okay, cool.
So you're going to go, and the thing is, when you start, it might be that the count's quite quick, and then as someone gets used to it, they might breathe longer. So I can count through, but
okay.
doing this at home, they might not necessarily do the same breath. Yeah. So you're going to make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're sitting right or sitting supported, lying. Yeah. If you can, you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. And if you can't, then you're going to breathe any way that works. Yeah. So you're going to breathe in for a count of 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And out. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then that would keep going.
Takes a lot of concentration.
It does take a lot of concentration, which is one of the things about the breath practices is it gets us out of here and into our bodies a little bit more.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to do that at home, 4, 7, 8, and maybe just doing 4 rounds of it initially.
Yeah. Okay. 4, 7, 8 times 4. Right. Okay. So we got some homework, and it was quite funny. About 6 weeks ago, Lynn and me were talking. I think it was at the end of when we just finished the development, or halfway through, like the update of the Rollers facility, and I was talking to Lynn, and she looked at me and said, "You can breathe, you know." As I was probably mid a rant or something. It's not. I'm not preaching here, guys. I'm fully aware that probably most of us as I say, we've all got our stresses in our lives for many different kind of reasons. So it's it's something so generic that we could all benefit from, especially probably at this moment in time of what's going on out in the wider world. Okay, so guys, I'd like to thank Lynn for today. What I'd love to do is get Lynn in for a few weeks for a series of these exercises. I'll make a note below of that kind of like breathing exercise, guys, on the Facebook page. We can practice that, and I look forward to Lynn coming on maybe next week as well, maybe the similar time. We'll have a chat about that after, and then also going forward, being involved, integrated in the business. I think you'll be a great asset, and I just can't wait to have you involved in things, Lynn. Okay, so thanks for coming on today. I know you were looking forward to this so much. It's been great, and I hope I'm sure the guys have really benefited from it. So we'll bid you out, and we'll be in touch, and we'll get you back in next week. Okay.
Thanks, Ady.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, then, guys. Any comments at all, guys? If you've got any comments, please feel free to put below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we've finished on air. Okay. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Cheers, Lynn. Thank you.